speaking at the Media Council Awards night on the 9th of August, you were there. The opposition leader Raila Odinga confirmed that Kenya sent a delegation, or at least the reports that they had a big delegation to the U.S. conference, adding that it was a shame to send such a huge delegation at the taxpayers' cost. Let's listen in.
I also have my sources where the nation got it. But as a matter of fact, it is not 85, it was 90. 90 Kenyans are there, when the United States, the host, has only got 90. The other day in Dubai, I was transiting and I meet a whole county assembly from one of our counties. I don't want to mention which one, that they are going to do benchmarking in Dubai. Dubai does not have a devolved system. Many countries now are tired of receiving Kenyan delegations. Even Kenyan embassies abroad will tell you they are tired. If they are not members of the National Assembly and Senate, they are MCAs running around that they are coming to do benchmarking. The Parliament owes this country an explanation why they are sending bloated delegations to conferences which bring no benefit to our country.
So you did feel that the story has a lot of dramatization from the media. Is this dramatization by your party leader?
Let me put it this way. One of the things that I agree with my party leader is that I think at some point we have to be a little bit realistic. I don't necessarily support our per diem system. I wish there would be a legislation that would come place to demand that we parliamentarians, whenever we go out, we are reimbursed on our actual expenditures. But that has got to cut across the entire three arms of government. You know, because when you do comparative analysis, when you look at Australia as an example, which is a very, very good case, Australian parliamentarians, when you travel, you are paid for your ticket, your actual ticket payment, and your actual expenditures. I don't support the fact that when I travel, let's say to East Africa, I'm given maybe 60,000 shillings a night. I could probably choose to live in a River Road hotel and pay like 2,000 shillings, and I have 58,000 shillings to bring back home. Those are things that we have to be really realistic about. I agree with my colleague here when she talked about the fact that PSC is heavily funded. And I'm one of those people who probably will be unorthodox in terms of my thinking on a way PSC should carry out its duties. I think we have to be realistic on our actual expenditures. I agree with the Right Honorable Prime Minister when he says that sometimes we are excited. Why should we go to Dubai for benchmarking? We can go to Nakuru, we can go to any other county to see what they are doing and learning from them. So I don't support this overexcitement of traveling abroad. You know, I don't travel abroad. I can tell you that. If I travel abroad, I travel under my own. You know, and maybe once in a while, maybe with a committee, if I feel like there's something that I can be able to learn. But the truth of the matter is this: it is not only in Parliament; it is with the executive and also the judiciary.
Would you say that you owe an apology to the Kenyans based on this, as the leader of your party?
I would be. What I would like to say is this: let us look at the entire per diem system in the three levels of government.
On this case, no, as he says, your party.
I think on this case, it would be wrong for me to say that I owe an apology, and I'll tell you why. Because every committee has its own budget. Okay, if they spend the entire foreign travel budget going to the US, they will never go anywhere else. Okay, and in most cases, the reality is this: most of the local budget is not spent because people don't want to travel to Kakuma, to Turkana. They'd rather stay in Nairobi.
Okay, let's close this issue. Do you think we owe an apology based on this particular story that was put out there, and that not some, but many have been against? That is stories like one by Lucas Baraza about this delegation.
I don't think we owe anybody an apology. What we are actually owed are facts.
Yes.
We need facts to know if our stories were not factual. What is the factual state? What is the truth? As Senator Ledama is saying, what is the truth? How many people were there? Of what benefit was it to all of us? But the most important thing that is actually even coming out is the fact that politicians are actually using the opportunities or such opportunities to threaten practitioners. And it is happening everywhere.
Please disregard that.
Yeah,
It's
and
not substance.
and it's happening everywhere. Even some of our correspondents in different parts of the country are saying that once you do a story about someone, that particular someone actually singles you out and will make your life hell in the particular place that you come from. So these particular threats, the media center has been closed before because journalists did a certain story. There are other issues that are done once in a while, whereby they will realize that so much has been said about Parliament through a specific journalist, and they will want to try and lock you out. Right now, they have a system, they have media liaison officers who were picked from media houses, and they actually do understand their job very well with regards to relating between the media and the politicians. But the politicians, once they go into the chamber and one of them starts condemning a certain story and everybody else picks it up, remember they have the privilege. And for us, it's just a space that they've given to us. So these threats are there, and they are very alive. But they also have to understand that we have to treat each other.
No, I think what I'd like to encourage Mureithi is that, as a journalist myself, do your job diligently. Do your, carry out your research, so that whatever story you put out there, it is factual.
But it's funny how stories that actually paint politicians in bad light then criticized as not being researched well.
But no evidence is offered.
Yes, but to that issue, and it's very careful that Media Council has to say this and give a position. We can't disregard such
Yeah,
threats.
you can't just disregard threats. You can criticize, and I mean, journalists are not blameless, and once in a while we have errors emanating from reporting, incorrect reporting, imbalanced reporting. But the issue of threats by politicians is very serious, because we have been seeing a trend whereby politicians threaten journalists, and they forget that they have influence of a huge number of the population, and who do not necessarily appreciate the value of free speech. And you could easily trigger attacks against journalists in your backyards. And it's something that has happened at the Media Council of Kenya. We monitor
and you have cases.
And we have collected over 50 cases this year in county governments. An MP goes to a rally and say this Githeri media, fake news and all that. And the next thing you hear, a journalist has been attacked. Why? Because the supporters of these politicians do not appreciate that criticism is healthy. They see that as enmity against their leader. So I think it's good for politicians to seek solutions to the conflicts that arise amicably, without necessarily issuing threats carelessly.
They should actually be happy. There is no negative publicity for a politician. They should actually be happy.
It's good publicity.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they also must realize that I have a duty, not just to the media house that I work for, but also to Kenyans. If I do not tell the story as it is, then I will be accused of something else, of having been pocketed by someone else. So I have to give this story as it is.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. Mureithi, let us be very honest with each other. Are you telling me that there are journalists out there who do not tell stories because they are being pocketed?
They are. They do.
A lot of. I want to be honest with you.
Yes.
And I want to be very, very blunt. Okay? And I stand corrected if I'm wrong. But I've seen a habit of certain journalists here waiting to be given money. Every time I go into a rally, mdosi unatuachaje bana? Situpatie. I mean, that is uncouth.
And we're not refuting that. And
but
that
if
is
they're
why
asking you, perhaps they know they'll get it. Then you've been giving it.
I agree with you.
You've been giving it.
But you see, one thing I can say is that I respect this gentleman so much. I've known him.
Yes.
And he's covered so many stories. Never has he ever told me, Mwesh, niaje? Never. But I've been asked that by so many. And in fact, some of them I've told them I don't give out any money. I'm a journalist myself. Yeah. So I don't. I'm sorry.
But that's why that's where Dina comes in.
Yes.
And we are saying that the trade has been infiltrated so much by people who
are not journalists.
Their duty is to see what they go home with at the end of the day.
True.
And that's their sole duty. They
Dina,
do not
you're doing
actually
something
care.
about it.
Yeah, and today you saw there was top officials from the Media Council of Kenya were in Parliament today to have a discussion with the clerk of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
And it's a process that has been going on, and we've been receiving a lot of complaints about what Senator is talking about. People even posing as journalists, because I'm sure 50 or even 70% of such people are not even journalists. And one of the reasons why that happens is because most people posing as journalists just come and they make fake press cards, or they
Are you talking about in
duplicate.
Parliament? Because I thought they have a very strong verification process within Parliament.
That's
In
a
terms of
debate
those who
we can
make
have
it,
another day, but I want to restrict myself
Okay,
to our
okay,
mandate, and,
okay.
and what we are trying to do is to introduce a new card that is can be scanned electronically, so that when you come to Parliament, it's not your access to Parliament. It's not under the discretion of an individual, but you come with a document which you can scan on a scanner, and you are able to come in. So then if you have a corrupted card, then you will not get past the gate.
Right.
So those are some of the reforms that we are bringing, and we are working with key installations, including judiciary and Parliament, and eventually county government, so that we are able to distinguish journalists from non-journalists.
But if you have complaints of actual journalists who are
it's so
verified,
serious that even when you go to assignments, the person who's invited you to this assignment will ask for your media council badge or the organization from which you come
Rightfully
from.
so.
Then they will look at it, authenticate it, then they will allow you into the assignment. I've been to an assignment where when people were introducing themselves, somebody said, I work for an online publication called Maneno Mingi. I was like, okay.